The dyes and pigments available in any particular period in which a specific color photographic process was invented, manufactured, and used have profound effects on the quality of color that defines most of the style and particular historical period.
Cool room temperature inhibited cancer growth in mice. Mice acclimatized to temperatures of 40 had significantly slower tumor growth and lived nearly twice as long compared with mice in rooms of 30 because they were burning more brown fat.
One of the major factors influencing future home design will be the probable change in climate, with hotter summers, colder winters, and the possibility of floods. Consequently, houses will be built with better insulation and will also need ways of keeping cool in hot weather, whether that's air conditioning or more shading of windows.
The problem is that increased immune vigilance has a side effect to allergies. Our speculation is that this is some kind of trade-off. In the past, you needed to resist some kind of pathogen, and the trade-off or sacrifice you have to make is increased responsiveness to non-pathogenic allergens. So next time some of you get the springtime sniffles, blame your distant ancestor, the one with the heavy brow ridge.
As the inventor of alternating current technology, Nikola Tesla played a paramount role in the electricity used to power the entire world. Tesla also worked diligently on a dream of supplying electrical power without wires. Thomas Edison was also instrumental in shaping society to deal with his inventions. Edison's design of the inside of the light bulb was the crucial key to making a light that would stay lit for hours instead of going out almost immediately.
Many people are under the impression that the water which comes out of a plant is clean. This is a common misconception. The function of a plant is to make the water cleaner, but it's not clean enough to drink. It could be used in irrigation. What a plant is trying to do is simply speed up a process that would naturally occur given more time. This means that a plant can create water that is safe to enter back into the water system as it's so heavily diluted. The river then continues
If you do experience a motorcycle crash, there where the other driver will most likely blame you for the incident. This includes the road conditions, any skid marks, road signs, instruction, and anything else that may have contributed to the accident. Not every accident requires an attorney, but a knowledgeable local attorney can help you make sense of the process, as well as ensure that the other driver's insurance doesn't.
Intangible assets perform a number of distinctive functions in the life of each company. Firstly, they witness the prosperity of the firm and its good name. Such a position allows human resource management to employ professional workers and increase labor productivity. Moreover, intangible assets guarantee future value for the firm, and although it is difficult to destroy intangible assets, they can lose their importance in case of carelessness.
Countries bordering the Mediterranean have built up a solid reputation for sunshine, great tasting food, as well as impressive health statistics, featuring some of the lowest rates of heart disease and increased life expectancy. This has created a lot of attention towards the Mediterranean diet, which is not a typical weight loss diet, but more of a set of habits.
The executive residence in the White House in the United States of America, where the president resides, is divided into several wings. It also includes the vice president's and president's staff offices. This government building is a national heritage.
Whether salamander, frog or toad, amphibians are some of the most diverse and far-flung animals on the planet. However, they're disappearing, and experts are worried since frogs are considered bellwethers for the environment. Their double life makes them unique. It's through their skin that they breathe and drink water because their skin is so permeable.
Japan is the world's calculator superpower. Japanese manufacturers have led sales of calculators for over 30 years in many countries. Even in the age of personal computers, calculators are still essential in accounting jobs. In addition, calculators with graphing capabilities have begun to be used in education.
Cloud seeding, a form of weather modification, is a way of attempting to change the amount of precipitation that comes from clouds. Cloud seeding is carried out by dispersing substances into the air, but it also occurs due to ice nuclei in nature, most of which are bacterial in origin.
What produce these effects are familiar to neuroscientists. Say external light and dark signals that help set our daily or circadian rhythms, clock genes that act as internal timekeepers, and neurons that signal to one another through connections called synapses. But how these factors interact to freshen a brain once we do sleep has remained enigmatic.
A dramatic fireworks display can be the highlight of a summer. It also can provide a feast for the senses. Bright colors delight the eye. Thunderous booms and whistles surprise the ear. If you're close to the show, you can feel the pressure waves that ripple from each exploding shell. And folks downwind of the action can smell the burnt gunpowder that fueled each rocket, and perhaps even taste it in the air. Electric vehicles have arrived. With technology led by Tesla, and all of the world's major car manufacturers following along behind, electric vehicles are now a common sight on the roads of most developed countries. Yet the situation in less developed countries is rather different. The only African country to have started the change to electric vehicles is South Africa.
Neutron stars, the compressed remains of massive stars gone supernova, are the densest normal objects in the known universe. Black holes are technically denser, but far from normal. Just a single sugar cube worth of neutron star material would weigh 100 million tons here on Earth, or about the same as the entire human population.
The ice house structures, of which four still remain intact, are located south of Sultan Kala. These large, conically domed earthen structures would have had sheets of ice built up on the ground level over the course of the winter to provide year-round ice supplies.
Prevailing winds are winds that blow from a single direction over a specific area of the Earth. Areas where prevailing winds meet are called convergence zones. Generally, prevailing winds blow east-west rather than north-south. This happens because Earth's rotation generates what is known as the Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect makes wind systems twist counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere.
A simple barometric altimeter includes a sealed metal chamber, a spring, and a pointer that shows altitude in meters or feet. The chamber expands as air pressure decreases and contracts as it increases, bending the spring and moving the pointer. An altimeter can be mounted on an aircraft's instrument panel or worn on a person's wrist.
The stratosphere is the next layer up from Earth's surface. Temperatures in the stratosphere increase with altitude. A high concentration of ozone, a molecule composed of 3 atoms of oxygen, makes up the ozone layer of the stratosphere. This ozone absorbs some of the incoming solar radiation, shielding life on Earth from potentially harmful ultraviolet light.
A newly created form of carbon in a mesh just 1 atom thick is tantalizing scientists with hints that it could sharply improve rechargeable batteries and allow wires so small that they can operate at a scale where metals fail. The material is highly conductive and may prove able to store more electrical energy than even graphene. The astonishing atomic thickness carbon honeycomb material identified nearly 20 years ago.
Studying how mouse brains process chemasigness will help researchers understand general principles of how their brains form social memories, and could help scientists identify what happens when these functions go wrong. Eventually, this may help scientists understand what happens in people whose ability to recognize others is impaired or those who have difficulties with social interactions caused by autism.
Desalination is the answer to long-term water security, but it's also expensive and energy-intensive. The good news is that scientists are developing some viable solutions. The first desalination plant in Europe was built in Spain nearly a half-century ago. Since then, facilities have sprung up in water-stressed regions throughout Europe.
hydrogen will play several roles in our future for transport. We now see several manufacturers launching cars powered by electricity produced in a hydrogen fuel cell, and this will happen even more in the near future. Fuel cell buses are also an attractive solution for public transport. Our engineers are now even starting to consider using fuel cells and hydrogen to power trains. Hopefully, this will treat and prevent acne and other skin diseases and reduce antibiotic use. Naked Biome is entering clinical trials to see if its approach is safe and effective.
For the designers and engineers who spend years crafting Team USA's uniforms to offer both style and extraordinary aerodynamics, the need to keep athletes warm in these extreme temperatures posed an added dimension of difficulty.
The Royal Institution is an organization that has been around for 209 years. Many of the people that have worked here have been scientists themselves, including Michael Faraday. He made the discoveries that made generating and using electricity much easier, making it possible for us all to switch on lights, cook our dinner, play games, consoles, much, much more.
A thesis is a claim that you can argue for or against. It should be something that you can present persuasively and clearly in the scope of your paper, so keep in mind the page count. If possible, your thesis should be somewhat original.
Today, telecommunication is widespread and devices that assist the progress are common in many parts of the world. There's also a vast array of networks that connect these devices, including computer, telephone, and cable networks. Computer communication across the internet, such as email and instant messaging, is just one of many examples of telecommunication. The fact is that those different types of services affect many different dimensions of well-being of people. And defining the human well-being is also extremely challenging. However, we identified that there are certain items providing basic material for life, whether it is food, shelter, or happiness.
Thus, language acquisition might be like other biological functions. The linguistic clumsiness of tourists and students might be the price we pay for the linguistic genius we displayed as babies, just as the decrepitude of age is the price we pay for the vigor of youth.
Killer cosmic rays from nearby supernova could be the culprit behind at least one mass extinction event, researchers said. And finding certain radioactive isotopes in Earth's rock record could confirm this scenario.
People who attended religious services at least once a week were significantly less likely to die from deaths of despair, including deaths related to suicide, drug overdose, and alcohol poisoning, according to new research.
Scientists make observations, have assumptions, and do experiments. After these have been done, they get their results. Then there is a lot of data from scientists. The scientists around the world have a picture of the world.
Tourism is a challenging sector which divides statistics since businesses serve tourists, also serve local people. Therefore, it is not straightforward to estimate how much business sectors, revenues, and how many jobs are due to tourist expenditures.
Traditional divisions of domestic work are understood to persist because of the strong association of the home with femininity and paid work with masculinity. To challenge who does what in the home is arguably tantamount to challenging what it is to be a woman or a man.
Fence, humanly erected barrier between two divisions of land, used to mark a legal or other boundary, to keep animals or people in or out, and sometimes as an ornament. In newly settled lands, fences are usually made of materials at hand, e.g., stone, earth, or
Clemenson wanted to see if claims of question dodging actually held up, historically, not necessarily in the unique case of Trump. So Clemenson analyzed the transcripts of 14 presidential debates from 1996 to 2012. Overall, he found 51 accusations of question dodging, 26 by Dems, 25 by Republicans.
Blue is the most popular color. Food researchers disagree. When humans searched for food, they learned to avoid toxic or spoiled objects, which were often blue, black, or purple. When food dyed blue is served to study subjects, they lose appetite.